Well, the DA has lost its legal bid to reopen the garden route beaches, but lobby group AfriForum has also taken the matter to court. It says limiting access to beaches countrywide amounts to a restriction on a basic human right and wants COVID-19 regulations declared unconstitutional. To discuss more, I'm joined by Daniel Eloff, AfriForum's legal representative. Thank you very much, Mr. Eloff, for joining us here on ENCA. Now, I'm sure you've heard that the DA, although they've got some positive news in terms of the beaches in Cape Town and how long they'll be open, garden routes, unfortunately, the courts have said that will remain closed. So are you still going ahead with your bid?
Yeah, so we were in court today. I think it's important to note that our case was amongst 3 other cases that was heard before the Pretoria High Court today. We're expecting judgment tomorrow morning at 9, and we're still hopeful for a good judgment, despite the fact that the Western Cape High Court didn't rule in favor of the DA's application to reopen beaches along the garden route, specifically because these 3 matters are distinct and unique in their own way, and there was other evidence and approaches that were followed with our cases today before the Pretoria High Court. So we'll still wait and see what happens tomorrow morning at 9.
So explain to us then, Mr. Eloff, what the difference is in your argument that might have the Pretoria High Court come to a different conclusion.
Sure thing. So firstly, our case was based on the 2 pillars, which are firstly that there's really serious consequences, economic consequences for the various businesses along the garden route in the first place, and in the second place that, and this was ventilated quite a bit during our court hearing today, the fact that government admits that they did not really respond to our argument that beaches are a very unique place with a low risk of COVID-19 transmissions. We refer to a study by the University of Berkeley in the United States, which found that it's the most minute amount of people who actually get infected or get COVID-19 while they're outdoors in a ventilated area such as a beach or park. So that's one of the distinct arguments that we did raise in our matter, and that we hope the court takes cognizance of.
All right, so 9 o'clock tomorrow, that decision will be made. What will happen if you could just explain to us legally, what will happen if the Pretoria High Court then decides to favor AfriForum? What happens to the Cape Town, the Western Cape High Court's decision then?
Yes, it is quite a predicament because you'll have 2 conflicting judgments in that sense. It might happen that the relief that the Pretoria High Court grants is unique and different to the relief that the court in the Western Cape rejected. We also argued in our case today that the court has a discretion in terms of Section 172 of the Constitution to provide a just and equitable remedy for the applicants. And this might be that the court says that, yes, the closure of beaches is fine or maybe unconstitutional or invalid, but that a similar restriction as to the one they placed over KwaZulu-Natal beaches might be more appropriate. So the court can substitute and make that finding in the end. We'll just have to wait and see what will happen. I do think it's important to just mention that it wasn't just our case on behalf of the Great Bruck River Business Forum, but there were also 2 other matters, the one being the Kocha municipality in the Eastern Cape, who also went to court on similar grounds, and then obviously also the Buffalo Bay Homeowners Association that went to court on their behalf. So it was a bit more of a crowded field, but it does add more weight to the arguments that were made on the day.
Now, what happens then? What steps will AfriForum be taking if the court decides to rule against you?
Well, I'll have to take instructions from AfriForum in the end, but in all honesty, and if you just look at it logistically and practically, if we get judgment tomorrow being the 23rd of December, we'll only be left with about 11 days, and there won't be time for an urgent appeal to go to court. But the point is, our clients trust in the judicial system and will trust that the court comes to the right conclusion, and I'm sure in these circumstances we'll accept that the court is taking the necessary steps as it deems fit.
But your application to the High Court in Pretoria goes further, if I'm not mistaken, right, Mr. Eloff? It's not only about the beaches, it's also just about the entire, all the regulations of the lockdown. You want them to be declared unconstitutional. So then,
No, not in this case. This case at AfriForum and the Grootbrak River Business Forum went to court was specifically on the closure of beaches. There's no pending litigation on behalf of AfriForum at the moment regarding the entire lockdown or the national state of disaster.
All right.